The seconds are out. The crowd is waiting. The boxers are getting ready to battle. Time for another edition of the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast with your presenter, Greg Rashid.
What a crop to everyone out there. This is Greg Rashid with another edition of the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. Heard by so many people at their convenience all over the world. I'm just amazed at the folks that listen to this program. And as always, we're going to have a great show today. Today, if you're new to the program, what we do on here is fantasy fights. In other words, I know you're listening, so you're a boxing enthusiast. And I know sometimes you sit around and imagine, what would happen if Muhammad Ali fought Joe Louis? What would happen if Mike Tyson fought Anthony Joshua? Well, we use different modes, different computer games, different card and dice games, and mix things up, and we create fantasy fights. And today we're using Legends of Boxing 2 PC game created by Gary Brown, who was on the show earlier in the year. Great guy. I'm going to have him back on again. Great game. And today's fight is going to be Joe Louis, the all-time great, not only heavyweight, but just fighter, all-time great person, versus who's in the news right now. We'll talk about him a little later. Deontay Wilder. And this is going to be a scheduled 12-round fight. And we have the one and only, as always, Knockout Nigel is our commentator. So let's go down to the ring and listen to this fight on Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
Cheers, fight fans. This is Knockout Nigel, your humble commentator, coming to you live from a roaring Joe Louis arena in Detroit, where history is about to unfold. Tonight, we witness a clash of eras. The legendary brown bomber Joe Louis, the heavyweight king who reigned with precision and power in the 1930s and 40s, stepping into the ring against the modern-day bronze bomber Deontay Wilder, one of the most devastating knockout artists the sport has ever seen. Louis, with his piston-like jab and crushing combinations, versus Wilder, whose right hand is a certified eraser of consciousness. The atmosphere here is electric. 90,000 fans on their feet, waiting to see if the old master can tame the new lion. Let's get to the action. The bell rings and we're underway. Both men come out cautiously, sizing each other up. Louis, ever the technician, keeps that legendary jab flicking out, measuring Wilder's range. Wilder, towering over Louis, stays on the outside, that right hand cocked like a loaded gun. The crowd murmurs as Louis lands the first meaningful punch, a sharp left hook to the body that makes Wilder take a half step back. Wilder responds with a pawing jab, but Louis slips it effortlessly. The tension is palpable. Neither man wants to make the first big mistake. Midway through the round, Louis begins doubling up on the jab, keeping Wilder at bay. Wilder, uncharacteristically patient, circles to his left, trying to find an angle for that nuclear right hand. Louis feints and lands a crisp right cross that grazes Wilder's temple. Wilder's eyes narrow and the crowd roars. Wilder fires back with a wild right that just misses, the wind of it ruffling Louis's hair. Louis smirks and gets back to work, digging another left hook into Wilder's ribs. In the final minute, Wilder finally connects. A snapping right hand over Louis' low guard catches the brown bomber flush on the jaw. Louis stumbles slightly, his legs momentarily betraying him, but he quickly regains his composure. Wilder pounces, throwing another right, but Louis ducks under and clinches, smothering the attack. The bell sounds, and Louis walks back to his corner with a thoughtful look. He knows Wilder's power is real. Wilder, meanwhile, stalks to his stool with a confident smirk. What a start! Round 2 begins with fireworks. Louis comes out aggressively, firing that piston jab, followed by a thunderous right hand that cracks Wilder on the cheekbone. Wilder shakes it off and retaliates with a monstrous right of his own. Louis weaves away, but the sheer force of the punch grazes his shoulder, spinning him slightly. The crowd is on its feet as these two titans trade bombs. Louis lands a brutal three-punch combination, left hook to the body, right uppercut, and another left hook upstairs that forces Wilder to backpedal. Wilder, showing his resilience, fires back with a looping right that catches Louis on the ear. Louis wobbles. The Detroit crowd gasps as their hero staggers, but true to form, Louis grits his teeth and fires back with a right hand of his own that stops Wilder in his tracks. The two stand toe-to-toe, neither willing to give an inch. Wilder's right eye is starting to redden from Louis' sharp jabs, but he's still grinning, loving the war. Louis, ever the tactician, begins working the body again, digging left hooks into Wilder's ribs. Wilder, feeling the punishment, tries to tie Louis up, but the brown bomber shrugs him off and lands a stinging right cross that snaps Wilder's head back. Wilder responds with a clubbing right that lands high on Louis' head. Louis takes it well and counters with a left hook that sends sweat flying from Wilder's brow. The bell rings, and both men return to their corners, breathing heavily. This is already a classic. The third round opens with a bang. Louis feints a jab and then delivers a crushing left cross that sends Wilder stumbling into the neutral corner. The crowd erupts as Wilder's legs betray him. He grabs onto the ropes to steady himself, his eyes glassy. Louis, smelling blood, moves in for the kill, but Wilder, in survival mode, clinches desperately, wrapping Louis up in a bear hug. The referee warns Wilder for holding, but the Alabama native isn't letting go. He's buying time to clear his head. Louis, frustrated, tries to muscle free, but Wilder clings on like a man clinging to a cliff edge. When the referee finally separates them, Wilder immediately clinches again, drawing boos from the crowd. Louis, ever the professional, stays composed, working short punches to the body whenever he gets an inch of space. Wilder's face is a mask of concentration. He knows one clean shot from Louis could end his night. With 30 seconds left, Louis finally breaks free and lands a vicious right uppercut that lifts Wilder's chin skyward. Wilder's knees dip, but he somehow stays upright, clinching yet again. The crowd is in a frenzy. Louis is dominating, but Wilder's survival instincts are keeping him in the fight. The bell sounds, and Wilder practically collapses onto his stool while Louis strides back to his corner with a determined... I must apologize to my dear listeners. Our favorite ring card girl, Keki, has informed me that I am pronouncing Joe's last name incorrectly. It is Louis, not Louis. I was thinking about Louis, the curator of my bubbly. He forgot to get it here on time for the fight. He promised there will be plenty of bubbly at the after party. Round 4 begins with Louis stalking forward, cutting off the ring like a predator. Wilder, still recovering from that brutal third round, is backpedaling, looking to reset. Louis feints and lands a sharp jab that pops Wilder's head back. Wilder, uncharacteristically hesitant, loads up on a huge right hand, but Louis sees it coming and slips it effortlessly, countering with a left hook to the body that makes Wilder grimace. Wilder, growing frustrated, throws another wild right that misses by a mile. The momentum nearly sends him spinning to the canvas. The crowd roars with laughter as Wilder stumbles, but Louis doesn't clown. He stays disciplined, stepping in with another punishing left hook to the ribs. Wilder's breathing is becoming labored. Louis's bodywork is paying dividends. Louis lands a stiff jab, followed by a right hand that glances off Wilder's temple. Wilder's legs are looking increasingly unsteady. With a minute left, Louis doubles up on the jab, then rips another left hook to Wilder's midsection. Wilder, in desperation, throws a desperate right that Louis blocks with his shoulder. Louis counters with a right cross that lands flush. Wilder's knees buckle, but he somehow stays upright, clinching once more. The referee warns him again, but Wilder is in pure survival mode now. The bell rings, and Wilder trudges back to his corner, his face a portrait of exhaustion. Louis, meanwhile, looks like he's just getting started. The fifth round opens with Louis flicking out that razor-sharp jab, keeping Wilder at bay. Wilder, his right eye now swollen, is struggling to find his range. Louis lands a quick 1-2. The jab snaps Wilder's head back, and the right hand crashes into his guard. Wilder shakes his head as if to say no, but his legs tell a different story. Louis picking him apart with surgical precision. Wilder, desperate to turn the tide, suddenly connects with a monstrous right hand that stops Louis dead in his tracks. The crowd gasps as Louis's legs stiffen, but the brown bomber doesn't go down. He takes a deep breath, steadies himself, and gets back to work. Wilder, sensing an opportunity, throws another haymaker, but this one misses wildly, and he nearly face plants into the canvas. The crowd erupts in a mix of cheers and laughter as Wilder struggles to regain his balance. Louis, ever the opportunist, capitalizes with a stiff jab that bloodies Wilder's nose. Wilder wipes at it with his glove, looking annoyed, but Louis isn't letting up. He lands another left hook to the body, then a right uppercut that lifts Wilder's chin. Wilder clinches again, but Louis muscles free and lands a clean right hand that sends Wilder stumbling into the ropes. The bell sounds and Wilder slumps onto his stool, his corner frantically working to revive him. Louis, meanwhile, looks like he's just warming up. Round 6 begins with Louis moving cautiously, respecting Wilder's power, but knowing he has his man hurt. Wilder, his legs unsteady, tries to circle away, but Louis cuts him off with a sharp jab. Then, bang! A lightning 1-2 from Louis, left hook, right cross, drops Wilder to the canvas. The crowd explodes as the referee begins his count. 1, 2, 3. Wilder's eyes are glazed, but at 9, he somehow wills himself to his feet. Louis, cold and calculating, moves in for the finish. Wilder, barely able to lift his arms, stumbles into the far ropes. Louis unleashes a 5-punch barrage. Left hook, right cross, left uppercut, right hook, and a final crushing left that sends Wilder's head snapping back like a Pez dispenser. Wilder isn't defending himself, his arms limp at his sides. The referee has seen enough. He leaps in and waves it off. Joe Louis wins by technical knockout. The crowd erupts in a deafening ovation as Louis raises his arms in victory. Wilder, slumped in the ropes, manages a respectful nod to the legend who just bested him. Joe Louis is a true legend. I will now return you to our Bangkok studios. This is Knockout Nigel. Cheers.
All right. I can actually see that happening. I can imagine that. And I know some of you are saying, well, Wilder, he's like bigger than Louis. He's 6'7". Louis was, 6'1". Joe Louis fought Primo Carnera, Buddy Bear, Abe Simon, among folks who were much bigger than him. And he destroyed them. So I could see this happening. So, but what do you think? What do you think? And speaking of Deontay Wilder, Kiki right now wants to tell you about the latest fight that he had the other night. So let's hear that on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
Wilder made his return to the ring for the first time since being brutally knocked out by Zhilei Zhang in June last year. It was considered a last throw of the dice for the Bronze Bomber at 39 years old, with defeat likely to spell an end to his stellar professional career. He took on huge underdog Tyrell Herndon at the Charles Koch Arena in Wichita as he looked to score a statement KO and reignite his power-punching reputation. Wilder landed a precise and crisp left hook in the second round, which saw Herndon touch the canvas, an early sign his power would dictate the outcome of yet another contest. Herndon was floored by another barrage in the sixth, which saw him counted while collapsed on the ropes, and he was inevitably on borrowed time. And the veteran got the job done in the seventh period, with a big right hand snapping back the head of Herndon. With little firing back, the official stepped in and halted the bout, handing Wilder his much-needed victory inside the distance. It was far from vintage and wasn't another to add to the highlight reel, but ultimately he got the job done after much persistence. He said of his performance, "It felt great. Thanks to my opponent. I appreciate the work."
Yeah, you got that right, Kiki. That was not a highlight reel fight. The description versus actually watching the thing is two different things. Herndon was there to avoid being totally knocked out because he just gave up basically. And the ref just said, "This guy ain't fighting. Let's stop this fight." And Deontay Wilder, who I've said on the show many times, I really like him, and I think he's going to be in the International Boxing Hall of Fame one day. But he should retire. Herndon, in the first couple of rounds, he was catching Wilder with stuff that I think if it was coming from someone like a AJ, Anthony Joshua, Joseph Parker, you just name it, I think they would knock him out. I think Deontay should retire, but I know he wants one more fight. I know they're setting this up for him to fight AJ. It will happen, and probably, near the end of this year. And I would think that they both might knock each other out. They both have kind of glass jaws, but I think Anthony Joshua will win that fight. I really do, but what do you think? But anyway, we're going to get right now to our new feature. This is Ella and Malcolm, boxing at the water cooler. This is the boxing coffee break they already have. They're always in the studio arguing about boxing, and they said they wanted to take the arguments to this program, so they're talking today about Lomachenko. So let's hear what they have to say on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
Malcolm, I'm telling you right now, Vasily Lomachenko isn't just a future Hall of Famer. He's a top 10 all-time great. The footwork, the ring IQ, the amateur pedigree, he's a once-in-a-generation talent.
Hold on, Ella. Loma's slick, no doubt, but top 10? Come on. The guy's got 3 professional losses, and his best wins are against smaller guys moving up. Overrated? Absolutely.
You're dismissing his 396 wins and 1 loss amateur record, 2 Olympic golds. He turned pro and won a world title in his 3rd fight. That's insanity.
Amateur success doesn't equal pro greatness. Guillermo Rigondeaux had a stellar amateur career too. Where's his top 10 hype? Pros are about marquee wins, and Loma's resume is thin. Who's his signature victory? Gary Russell Jr.? Jorge Linares? George Kambosos Jr.?
How about unifying at 135 against Luke Campbell? Or dominating Rigondeaux so badly he quit on his stool?
Rigondeaux was 2 weight classes smaller, and Campbell? Good fighter, not elite. Where's his defining win against a prime pound-for-pound rival? Let's talk losses. Orlando Salido exposed him in his 2nd pro fight. Teofimo Lopez outworked him, and Devin Haney schooled him. Greats don't drop close fights when it matters.
Salido came in overweight and fouled all night. And the Lopez fight? Loma started late. He won the second half. Haney was bigger, younger, and hugged his way to a decision.
Started late? Elite fighters adjust. Sugar Ray Leonard didn't wait rounds to turn it on against Duran. And Haney? Loma couldn't solve the jab. That's on him.
You're ignoring his artistry. The matrix-level footwork, the angles, the punch variety. No one does it like Loma. Even in losses, he's must watch.
Pretty moves don't equal greatness. Roy Jones was flashy too, doesn't mean he's top 10. Where's Loma's historic rivalry? Pacquiao had Morales, Marquez, Barrera. Loma's era? Weak.
So you admit he's too good for his competition. They ducked him. Gervonta Davis ran to 140 instead of facing him.
Or maybe Loma's team protected him. Why no move to 140 earlier? Greats challenged themselves. Pacquiao jumped 8 divisions.
Loma revolutionized footwork and combo punching. Every young fighter studies him. That's legacy.
Floyd Mayweather revolutionized money. Roberto Duran revolutionized violence. Loma's a technician, not a game changer.
Fine, Malcolm. When Loma's in the Hall of Fame, I'll send you a postcard.
Deal. But when history remembers him as great, not greatest, you owe me a beer.
Oh, it's on.
Oh, Ella and Malcolm, they're always getting it on at the water cooler, but I hope you enjoy that. They have, boy, they just argue and argue all day. My goodness, I don't want to fire them because they're great in the background as far as doing technical stuff that helps me out here, but my God. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that. And I think, personally, I think Loma will be in the Hall of Fame. He's going to be pushed there by a number of folks. I remember Bob Arum, after Loma's, I think it was his 5th fight, and he was comparing Loma with Muhammad Ali as far as one of the all-time great fighters. I said, hold on a minute. I mean, no way. There's no way. But I think they're going to put him in there. I think he'll get in the Hall of Fame. There are a lot of guys who shouldn't be in the Boxing Hall of Fame, in my opinion. My humble opinion. But they're in there. I can think of, let me get you mad, some of you out there, but Arturo Gatti, nah, he shouldn't really be in there, but he's there. Ingemar Johansson, oh, no way. Oh, goodness, please. But, there are folks that, they just shouldn't be in there. But that's true of all Hall of Fames. You can go to any sport, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer. You'll find these names and you'll say, how did they ever get in there? But anyway, we're going to see. We'll see in 5 years if Lomo does get in there. But I hope you enjoyed that segment, and I hope you enjoyed the show today. And if you, wherever you listen to the program, be it on YouTube, be it on Facebook, be it on Spotify, just send a note like so many people do and just say, I want to hear you promote these 2 guys to fight next, or 2 women, because we have women boxers too we can do. But just let me know. Just drop me a line wherever you listen to the program. And I really appreciate that. I'm so choked up I couldn't even say the word appreciate. But anyway, I just really enjoy doing these shows. And as I always say, go in love and go in peace. Help someone along the way. Because we're all in this world together, this big blue ball. So do what you can to make your community a better place. Get up in the morning, first thing, give yourself a big hug and just say you love yourself. Go in your community. See if if there's a young person in need that needs your help. If there's a senior that needs your help, animal distress, whatever you can do. And pick up trash, whatever you can do. Just make it a better place. I mean, there are folks out here who are trying to, destroy the beloved community, just doing what they can. There's wars out there. You can't even say rumors of wars. There are wars going on. But do what you can to bring some peace. It may seem very minor, but it all adds up. But again, this is Greg Rashid. Go in love and go in peace. And please become a promoter of the program. Really appreciate that. See you next time on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Please become a member at patreon.com under the title Ringside Fantasy Fights and News. See you next time.